Hi, this is day 3 of my vlogging and day 8 of my 100-day challenge. Um, no, of the vlogging. The podcast is day 3. We're going to get there. So I had a crazy challenge where apparently I had the wrong mic on the laptop. And so I had to use the recording from the podcast, which is crisp and clear, but unfortunately does not match up well with the video. Don't ask me. I'm technical, but there are limitations to my technicality. And it showed in the last 2 days, apparently. But I think I finally caught up with what was going wrong, and it has now gone right. um, thank you for bearing with me. Amiete, and this is Amietedotme, where I just talk about some of the things I'm going through, the challenges, the basics of life, basic life lessons that I've learned over the years, as well as things I'm trying to grow in and things I'm working on and that I don't have as a strong suit, but would like or should at least be worked on. um, I believe that life is about growing challenges and getting through them. And yes, I do have a different pair of glasses on. I think you'll only see these in my first episode. I got new glasses, so I had to wear them straight for a good while and get used to them. Plus, they also had bifocals, but you couldn't tell they had bifocals. They're the new swanky kind, which took an adjustment, by the way, because I'd always said no to bifocals. But coming around to age 45, and you say yes to a lot of things. So yeah, getting adjusted to those, getting used to them. They're a different feel. These I really enjoyed these for the whole time I had them and full time. And they're making a comeback because I like the look. I like the feel, especially because I was feeling really bummy lately. And I figured, well, how can I look less bummy, right? And so this was how I figured to balance out the bummy. Um, okay. And because I realized that my face with makeup versus my face without makeup wasn't too much because I'm not doing like a 3-piece suit type makeup. I'm doing everyday makeup. And so there wasn't really too much of a difference because, as you can see, my skin is it's not in its worst shape ever. It's not in its best shape ever, but it's decent right now. Yes, I do get better skin than this. I have a special cream that I use that gets rid of all my blemishes and makes me look delicious. But it's a Nigerian cream, and most people in the US don't sell it. And if they sell it, it's online, and they want you to pay $40 a bottle. And I'm not into paying $40 a bottle for something that did not cost that much. Um, it is $40 because of the shipping and all of that. And you can buy it directly from the company in bulk and then ship it here, which is what I plan to do in the future when I'm ready for that. And then I will resell my extras to whoever wants them because that cream is delicious and it's safe for children's bodies because it's actually a children's cream, which is really weird about that. Nigerians typically like their children to be at their best skin. That is a real thing. I remember when my kids were a kid and when I was a kid, my mother saved no expense trying to get my skin at its best quality. Not just using Vaseline, they would also use like the best quality Vaseline or one without anything that would cause you harm. I mean, we do that somewhat to some degree in the US where we kind of care. Some people more than others. But yeah, so that's that. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. Sorry I didn't say that sooner. I'm getting used to the hang of this. And if you've been here for a little bit, thank you for sticking through it. I appreciate you in ways I can't verbalize. But yeah, I'm currently working on a project. I'm supposed to be studying for a CDLB, but I wasn't able to get myself to willingly read that book. So instead, I decided to make a YouTube video instead of it because I couldn't find one that had the whole book. And so in making the YouTube video, I also discovered, well, YouTube encouraged me to create quizzes. And I knew when I was done, I would take other people's quizzes. But then I realized, oh, why not make your own? Like make several quizzes that people could take. Because I remember when I was in cosmetology school, right before I took my final, I found a YouTube video to study with. And then I found YouTube tests to take. And so it would give you the question with the end, either with the answers or without. And then it would count down and then it would give you the answer. And I passed the test with 80% without properly, because I forgot the date the test was supposed to be. And I was in a prayer group every morning at 6 a.m. at that time. And so I was like, oh, pray for me. I have to take the test soon. And they're like, well, what day is it? I was like, yeah, I knew I was supposed to check it up, but I didn't. And they're like, well, check it up so we know, so we could pray properly. And I check it up, and it's that day at like 11 o'clock in the morning. And at the time, this was still somewhat COVID-ish. So you couldn't, your bubbles were bigger, but they weren't yet whole world yet. And so I looked for someone on who I knew that was still within my bubble circle of bubble. And so they came over and watched my daughter while I ran off to go take this test that I was supposedly prepared for, but not completely. But I passed with an 80% and I got my license. And that's all that matters. No one ever looks back at how you got there. They just look that you got there. Okay? And I remember they used to say that to me as a kid. Just get there. It's not how you get there. It's that you get there. And that almost became like a motto for life, even though my perfectionist self wants to get there looking like a GQ, like I got it together and I did the work to get there. But I'm starting to really, really hone in this 45 years of life and understand that get there how you get there. I mean, yes, I'm going to get there with character. Yes, I'm going to get there with right morals and the right perception of mind and the right frame of mind. I'm not going to do harm to others, or as Google likes to say, do no evil. That's one of Google's corporate responsibility laws, which I really love, which is simply said, do no evil. So, do no harm to others, and in trying to climb the ladder, remember that you may fall back down that same ladder, and the people that you stepped on to climb that ladder will be there waiting for you. So if you didn't step on them, but you worked with them to climb up, it's going to be a different thing when you're falling down than somebody who stepped on them, pissed on them, shitted on them, or whatever else you did to them. So yeah, my dad always says, be careful how you climb up, because someday you might have to fall down. And if you do, you want to make sure that when you fall down, it isn't a bad situation for you because of the way you went up. So I've always been mindful of that. I'm mindful how I treat people. I try. I really suck at when men hit on me. I suck at that. Lots of childhood trauma, can you tell? I've worked on inner healing. I've done some work on that. But I downloaded a new app. And you know how when you download these chat apps, I'll call them barracudas, come out of the woodwork and start. It could be a guy, it could be a girl. Sometimes people don't know that I'm a female online because somewhere in the 2000s when I signed up for my YouTube email, I put that I was a male intentionally. My goal was back then, I believed that you never knew where people were coming from and the direction in which they were coming from. And so please know, I was not fully living a very good life with Jesus at the time. I was kind of like on that page where I was just like, you on that side, I'm on this side. I don't think I can live holy enough for you. So I don't want the devil, but I ain't living holy enough. And I don't want to be ashamed of you, and I don't want you to be ashamed of me. So it was a weird little space until something happened. I was in college, and one of my roommate and another guy friend wanted us to take ecstasy with him. And he was like, we're not going to have sex. We're not going to do any of that, because if you have sex on ecstasy, you ruin your sex life. And he's like, but we'll just be like inappropriate with ourselves. But then we'll all be in the room together. And I was like, I couldn't think that through. And something came into my thought process and was like, you can't do this because when you come back to me, it's going to be a problem. And I was like, but I'm not with you. And why do you feel the need to tell me this now? And that thought like shifted my world. And slowly but surely, I found my way back to Jesus. And no, I did not take the ecstasy because I was too curious why the Holy Spirit had to speak. It drove me nuts because he didn't speak for anything else. He didn't stop me with anything else. And I did a whole lot of crazy in that moment. So I thought that was more than interesting. But please note, my idea of crazy is not a lot of people's idea of crazy. I'm still considered sheltered in some ways. In some ways, not. In some ways, yes. I did not jump off deep ends completely. There were always rails for me for some reason. But there was. Just the story of my life. But yeah. So, being mindful and, like I said, control and boundaries and borders. I learned that Nigerian culture does not teach you boundaries. I learned them in the U.S. as most Nigerians rudely awaken to them in the U.S. And then at different levels and stages, you discover what boundaries look like. Nigerians don't believe in boundaries because they want the right to be able to invade your boundaries at all times. And so boundaries are not taught, even though they know them. You subconsciously know that you're invading someone's privacy when you do the things you do. But Nigerian culture basically lets you feel that it's okay if the cause and the reason behind it are a good cause. So, example, I wanted my son to go to tech school, and I wanted him to be a coder, and I wanted him to do some kind of computer programming, engineering, or some kind of computer. I needed him in the tech world. And so at age 13, I started teaching him logic. He didn't really take to logic when I would teach him. So I found games that I felt he would assimilate with, because that's what got me into logic when I was a kid. I went to a school that Apple and Windows early on in their foundation felt that the world should know coding in childhood and that it would develop a better world. But the United States of America and certain very fanatical Christians felt otherwise because they were afraid of the end times. And they thought that they could slow it down somehow or keep it from happening in the ways that were depicted in the Bible. I don't know. People don't understand that his word does not return to him void. You're not going to change his word. He's already seen those things. Those things are coming. They're going to happen. You're not stopping it. What you can do is be a better person. What you can do is change how you relate to other people. What you can do is be a part of the church, be a part of the body of the church. Or if you're not subscribing to Jesus, you can be your best self, right? You can be your best self. You can put your best foot out there. You can be kind. Even in Islam, it teaches to give your best. My grandfather was a Muslim, and he taught his children to give alms and to give, and Umrah and all of those things. He taught them those things, So, my mom just felt that she couldn't pass on Islam to us the way she inherited it. She didn't think she could be good at that, giving that to us as her children. And my father was a Christian. His family had been Christian since the time of the British. We were not Christian in our household before the British. But we chose to be Christian. It wasn't that, oh, here's this yoke, we're going to put it upon you and you have to sit in it. No, our household chose Christianity. Some portions of my household chose a different kind of Christianity, which is, I see Jesus, I see the power of Jesus, but I want satanic stuff. Again, that's throughout the world, here and there. Anywhere colonization occurred, that is a real thing. And even more places, the colonization pretty much colonization, I think, brought that. I think it was this concept of evading a yoke that was placed upon you and finding a way to get your lick. I think is really what I see it as. And again, the heart of man is cruel. I don't think colonization was the only thing that drew that out of people. I think just the heart of man being cruel is why that drew out. Because after all, I mean, we were given instructions in the garden. We still did what we wanted to do. Either way. So moving on. So I am working on this CDL thing, and it's moving. It's just, sometimes when you want to be done with something, and it's just, you only have so much time for it. You only have so much energy for it, because I'm still a mom. I still got to do my chores. I still got to wash dishes. I still got to take care of them and do chores, right? I still got to take care of myself. So, by the time you add all those things together, you start to realize that, there's only so much time for your work and the things you do in a day. When you work a 9 to 5, then you're stuck on those 8 hours. They get all of those 8 hours. But when you work for yourself, it's a little more flexible. And then you have to remind yourself that there's a cutoff time. So I have like sleep mode, and I have reminders for sleep mode. And I've been violating that lately. So I'm going to have to work that out, because I'm starting to feel it. Like I was even like an hour late to my session that has been booked. And I just have to show up, but the level of exhaustion getting up in the morning, because my daughter just transitioned to school, and this was her first week of school. And so we as parents often forget that it's also a transition for us too, right? Even though like she had summer school, and there was like a continuous summer school for her for pretty much the whole summer except for 2 weeks, because of a situation where she had been withdrawn from the school due to situations at her school. And so I wanted her back into a school setting before her school year actually started, so that she could recoup some of what was not fully gained in that down period. I did do homeschooling for her in that period, but I just didn't feel like she's behind in reading. She's not able to read yet, and I really just wanted as much help. She's also dyslexic, as much help as possible to get her there. And so we signed up for the extended summer program, and she was able to, adjust to that. And she was a champ. She rolled through it. She was like, yo, can you unsign me for the extended part? And I was like, no. I was like, you're going to be brave, you're going to be bold, and you're going to go through this. And she's like, but I want my summer. I was like, okay, cool. We can do more things outside when you get home, and I shortened the day instead of giving her the full day. I did do that, but that's all I did. Sometimes accommodating children, you have to still remember what the end goals are. Yes, you should still hear them out, because I know my parents heard me out, and I know how beneficial that was for me when they did hear me out. So I don't discredit what she says, but at the same time, I still, as a parent, still need to parent her, right? Today, sometimes we forget that we still need to parent our children. She likes watching a lot of YouTube, and at first I was just like, yo, how can I cut this? How can I get rid of this? But it is permeated in our culture. And as much as I want to cut and nip it, I realized that kind of like what my parents did with me, where they let me watch as much TV as possible, or as much TV as I wanted to a certain degree. Actually, not even really. Let me be honest. What ended up happening was I could watch as much TV as I wanted, but I could watch as much CNN as I wanted. But if I wanted to switch the channel from CNN to something else, I needed to do my homework. I did not do my homework often. I watched a lot of CNN, let me tell you that right now. A crazy amount of CNN. It is one of the reasons why I do not watch news now. Also because CNN is not what CNN used to be. It's not. And I started to feel the pressure of what media is today. And I just was like, nope, not doing this. Clicked out. So it will be rare if I ever speak about what's going on news-wise. It will be almost non-existent. Just know that. Because the only way I really know what's going on with news is my family and my friends around me. And I always have to keep reminding them, remember, I don't watch any of this. Like, you have to tell me. If Google didn't show me in my Google feed, I do not know. And Google shows me like emergency situations, like there's a shooting in the neighborhood, there's alerts going on. That stuff is what Google's going to show me. Google will sometimes show some things about the orange man, but it has realized that if it wants me to return, it should show less of him. Unless what it needs to show me is something that affects me. So like things with our student loans. I care about that. Things with how the government is changing. Government agencies that are closing. Some of them I get to know from my son through the tech world, because a lot of agencies in the tech world that needed to continue. So government is responsible for a huge portion of the tech industry because in the past we felt that having the government involved would be a way to protect the individual by using the government's oversight and law and the government's control level to maintain people's privacy, people's security, and people's safety. Somehow, that is being lost to some degree, alarming degree. When you privatize telecommunications completely, you get access to people's personal conversations with one another. I know a lot of us feel that, I'm not saying anything in my conversations to my friends and stuff, but imagine somebody seeing, if you're someone like me who actually writes a lot of things in their calendar, like all my medical appointments, all anything that my older child needs to know we're doing so that he can be aware of it is in my calendar. Now imagine the world having access to that. You don't even need to know my name. You don't even need to know where I live in the world. If you read that and you have any kind of detective skills, you should know what side of the world I live in right away. You should know what kind of health issues I have. You should be able to figure out what type of lifestyle I'm living to some degree from those calendars. You should also be able to know where I am at certain times of day and where I will be for certain periods of time. That can be dangerous information in the wrong hands. In my case, I had stalkers for a period of time. Can you imagine one of those stalkers having access to that? Knowing where they can meet me, knowing how they can keep track of me without me having knowledge of that. So if you have the kind of stalker that is willing to kill you, look at what you've just given them. Access, they don't even have to kill you. They can just torment the shit out of your life without you even being aware of it. Let's forget the crazy part of this. Let's come back to the basic part of this, right? Dates with your husband. In Nigeria, we have this fathom thing where we always feel that there's a woman chasing our husbands. I mean, like, even when I was married, I felt it too. But in my case, it was real. But yeah, so, and again, and I also believe in the concept of if you keep thinking it, it will come to life. So be careful what you think of. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it is too much information. Let's just say it that way. And if you still haven't jumped on my page of it being too much information for those things to not be controlled in a safe environment and for them to be public information that can be bought and sold, we already have access to people's recordings on their phone, whether they turned it on or not, whether they've turned off a lot of it. Some portions of the day, I watch Siri turn on all the time. My Siri is turned off on my phone, but yet Siri will turn on at random times to record a clip of something. I'm always curious which situations she wants to record and what triggered the record, but I'll never know. At least Apple has a concept of not sharing that information majorly unless it's with an app that you've given permission to have those kind of information of you. So remember that fine print that we never like to read in today's world? Guilty. When you sign up for an app and then it gives you all that fine print and you don't read it. Sometimes in that fine print, they're telling you that they're going to record you at times. Sometimes in that fine print, they're telling you that they're going to take data from you. They don't tell you what the data is. They don't tell you how much the data is. So like in my business, I have a do no evil policy. I subscribe to that Google do no evil policy. So I work to delete people's private things that are not necessary to function the business and that are overly intrusive. So I try not to keep anybody's card data once the entire item has been processed and they have received their item and there are no issues. Then we're not storing your data of your card. I will keep your name. I will keep what you purchased. I will keep when you purchased. Any other data that shows me your purchase history with my company. I have thought of keeping track of people's purchase history outside of my company, but I said to myself, if you're trying to be appropriate with boundaries, that's a boundary issue. Like maybe later I'll let AI do that for the sake of, but if I let the AI do it, I'm not seeing that information. I'm not getting personal access to your information. And the AI is only calculating it as to understand your patterns, not to understand your buying patterns, right? Not to understand your personal life, right? So we're not incorporating your personal habits, where you go, what you do in your quiet zones and times. We're not doing that, right? But some companies are doing that. Some companies are taking all those information into consideration when they profile you and when they find people that match the profile of what the company is searching for. So just things to think of, things to be mindful of. So there goes our session today. Learning to adapt to my schedule and trying to balance this new schedule and figure it out. Trying to sort out time for an event I want to have at Christmas that I really, really want. But a part of me is like afraid to step into, and learning to remember that I can be bold and I can create whatever I step out to create. And I want to say the same to you. You can be bold and you can create and you can step out to what you're willing to step out to. Fear should not be your friend. All these things we just talked about, they're not so that you can go around, oh my God, they're recording what I just said. Oh my God, don't. It's just knowledge for you to be aware of. It's not for you to change who you are. It's not for you to create a new wall. It's not for you to create a new thing to be anxious over. No, it's just for you to understand that the system we live in is shifting. Shift with it. Be aware of how it's shifting so that you can be aware of how you need to shift with it. It isn't to create this bubble that you're going to live in, because you need people and people need you, right? And you're going to interact with people and people are going to interact with you. And all those are fine and well and dandy. Have your boundaries when you interact with people. If the other person's intent shows malicious, inform them that you are not interested in engaging any further. If it is healthy, engage. Engage, participate, learn, grow, build. And if they become toxic or they start to grow in unhealthy habits with you, set new boundaries. If you need to disengage, make it clear you're about to disengage and disengage. But don't live in this fear of the world, right? Like my not listening to news is not because of fear of the world. It was because I noticed that I was getting anxious. I noticed that I was almost like, it became like almost an addiction. And remember, I've said, I don't want addictions and I don't want anything that even resembles an addiction. So that was why I cut that off. I'm not adverse to news. I believe in being informed and being educated and understanding the world you live in. I just get it from different sources, just not so much the news, from research, articles, and, I do Substack, Medium, places like that where journalism is still healthy, where people are still speaking about life and themselves in a healthy manner. And and you can do that too. So till tomorrow.